Speaking about the educational reform committee you are working in, what would be the main initiatives you will push for to get that reform?
This proposed legislation is to change tenure from time-based to evaluation-based, and it touches on the right to strike. So those are the two main issues, and the other part of it is how you implement that evaluation-based tenure. One of the things with the strike thing, I don't mind having a longer process of it, but if you eliminated it, would that turn around and create either illegal strikes, work stoppages, or some other consequence? Because I don't think teachers are going to just roll over necessarily and just say, fine, we'll do whatever you say. Because I think that's why people organize. You know, so I've always thought that a strike is a last resort. It shouldn't be used as a threat. But I think that as an employer, I have a right to lock out. As an employee, you have a right to defend yourself. So, you know, there's some issues in there that I think need to be worked out.
As far as this education reform thing, I guess, you know, one of the many reasons things don't get done in Illinois is because you're all spending so much time running for office. And I'm wondering about the $50,000.
Make it a 4-year term.
The $50,000 you took from Stand for Children, which is an organization that wrote the legislation. What are we to think if you're on the special committee that was just put together months, you know, just a month, less than a month ago? This is a very, very quick process. At least two of the people on the committee took significant amounts of money, $50,000, from the people that wrote the legislation. What are we supposed to think about that? How does that impact your position?
I'm supported by the IEA, have been supported by the IEA, and the local IFT people supported me because they know that I don't just listen to one side or one group, that I ask that we bring everybody to the table and let them have input into this. I'm not for shoving something down somebody's throat.
If you're talking about people taking cuts, do that. Maybe we'll trust your position.
And should you give every penny back then that you got?
Stand for Children is...
Oh, so I should just give that money back.
That's $50,000. That's a pretty good chunk.
You know,
I mean, it might...
I would love to...
off the committee.
We can get it... Then you could get into financing campaign reform. Yeah. That would be a great thing to do.
It would be great if you did that.
I would love to see that. How?
Take a stand.
How?
Give the money back. How? There's laws in other states. There's people in the Illinois General Assembly who are doing campaign finance reform.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you're in a contested race, how do you run a race without having help from people? I'm not a rich man.
They do it in Arizona. They do it in other states.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, where we are right now, that's where you are. You're not where you want to be. You're where you are.
That makes no sense, and it gives me no hope at all. If you're supposed to be a leader and you're saying you are where you want to be, we're going to get where we need to be by actually, you know, putting some revenue together. But specifically, this education reform committee is, you know, possibly going to pass out some recommendations in the next couple weeks. So
possibly.
We'll be watching.
It may or it may not. I'm not sure.
But you're accountable. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't mind being accountable. When you say about the education reform measures that are being talked about, and they're being talked about, what are you for? What are you against?
I mean, I think the strike issue is of importance, but it's being used as a big issue when it's not. Teachers don't strike in Illinois. I'm more interested in your $50,000 and how you could possibly be an impartial or, you know, a person who can...
Do you have any basis to believe that I'm not partial, that I'm...
Yeah,
what?
if you took money from a group, then you would have.
I took money from the trial lawyers too, but that doesn't mean that I'm not for workman's comp reform. I'm for workman's comp reform,
Well, that's
and that'll
what
hurt
she's
them.
saying is that she's worried that by you taking money from a certain group, that you would be in their pocket at that point.
Yeah, but I'm not, and they know it.
We can hope.
Well, I can tell you that I'm not in anybody's pocket. I'm not down there because I want to be down there for the next 15 years. I'm down there because a lot of the issues that you talk about, we talk about, are the same issues that I have. Do I want our education system to get better? Do I think this is really education reform? I think it's some nuts and bolts couple of issues that we're looking at here. But I think there's much larger issues about early education, funding. Are we funding, and are we putting our money where it needs to go? And those are a lot of the issues that the teachers know a lot about, the administration knows a lot about, and I don't want us to do something quickly that will destroy any labor management relationship that drives us apart. And the tenure thing, I think, it's interesting, and I think that it's something that should be looked at. The strike issue, if you want to put some more obstacles in there to striking, I'm okay with that. But to say that you're going to eliminate it 100%, I have a few issues with that.
It should be a months-long process of getting input, and people are really concerned that it's, the committees were formed at the beginning of December. As far as talking about early education, we're not going to have money for early education for decades, and right now you've had to cut the number of people getting Head Start dramatically. So please don't minimize what your committee is looking at.
I'm not minimizing. But unless the state of Illinois gets out of this deficit, this $16 billion hole, pretty quick the backlog of bills will be $6 billion. So unless we get out of that, we're never going to get anywhere anyway, because nobody's getting funded. Nobody's getting their payments on time. Nobody can plan on that they're going to get their, my rent doesn't get paid for 6 months to 9 months. So, there's a lot of issues there, and we need to solve that problem. And that comes back around to the core issues. Is it going to be cutting, borrowing, or revenue?